Welcome to the Printed Circuit Podcast, where we discuss trends, challenges, and opportunities across the printed circuit industry. Joining me today is a very special guest, my friend and colleague and future Printed Circuit Podcast host, David Habboud. David, welcome to the podcast. With over a decade of industry expertise, you recently joined as a senior technical audience manager. Could you start by telling me a bit about your journey in the industry? What specifically drew you to this strategic role here at Siemens?
So I started in embedded software development over a decade ago, working as a contractor in the aerospace industry. I noticed a huge divide between like the software and the hardware development side of things. And as someone that has been in the middle of all of that, I found that I am a little bit more open to communicating, and I was able to find an opportunity to join the hardware design industry as a product marketing engineer about a decade ago. So I've been working in the SMB space and talking to different companies across the entire market, from simple startups to big organizations. So what drew me to the role here at Siemens is the fact that there is no other solution out there that can fully integrate all of the different digital threads available into creating a complete product picture. It was really exciting to learn about our latest offering with Expedition Standard, and being someone that can step in and be a liaison between the users and marketing and product development really got me excited. And I've been here almost a year now, so it's been a great journey.
I know you've been here for a while, as you said, but welcome to the team. It's a pleasure to have you. And I know you and I have some history even before you joined Siemens, especially our activity within the industry. So I'm crazy excited that you're on the team and now you and I can truly collaborate going forward. So let me ask you this question here. As Siemens has a comprehensive vision of the digital transformation, technological innovation, and sustainability development, how do you perceive or your personal vision for the future of electronic design align with Siemens' broader corporate mission? And what excites you about the contributing, your evolution and contributing to this?
Like I was saying earlier, I think that there is no greater there's no greater method to bring products to market than to create a true digital twin. And a lot of people have been talking about this in the industry forever, but Siemens creates products to work together. There is no data translation. There is no stepping back and forth and hoping that your design intent is communicated correctly. You are able to have true data continuity from an idea all the way to manufacturing. And that is something that I find to be incredibly beautiful. And being able to help shape the product by bringing forth users' needs is something that it's a dream job, right? I get to help people create the future with their products, and I don't have to worry about having any little errors in my design. No, I don't have to troubleshoot the design, but I can help bring things forward to help people and hopefully circumvent some issues before they occur. We talk about digital transformation and being able to iterate digitally. Being able to help people do that every day is just, it's amazing.
I agree with you.
So, as a veteran PCB designer, what was your initial reaction to hearing about my move to Siemens and the role I'm taking? How do you see the role of technical audience manager impacting the design community?
When it comes to industry influencers and those of us who are publicly, our face, we're out there and we're if you want to say preaching the gospel, or we're spreading the knowledge of, especially with the Siemens solutions that we bring to the table. Your personality is what really excited me because, like I said, you and I have a personal friendship that was way before you came to Siemens. And your personality and what you bring to the table, when I think about your role as a technical audience manager, when you think about what exactly is that? The goal here is that you're bringing the right message to the right individual so that way it helps, our customers. And the key here is getting the message to the right individual or bringing the right product. It's listening to what they're asking for, but understanding their needs in a more global picture, not just for what that the moment in time, but as they grow and as their potential growth 5 years, 10 years down the road. And this is, I think, what Siemens is really strong at, is understanding a customer's current status, but knowing their evolution and where they really need to be guided to achieve long-term success and the solutions that we bring to the table. So I see you amplifying that and really taking the ball and running with it in your role here as a technical audience manager. I'm really excited to have you on the team, and I'm really excited that you and I are going to start co-hosting this podcast so we can get different perspectives, of how we're attacking it, from what you bring to the table and all that you've been through, as well as, what I've experienced through my career and what I bring to the table. And as a collaborative approach, I think it would be very good to what we're going to share. And then as we engage with, future guests, I think it's going to be really good and really exciting.
I like that we'll be able to talk on a higher level about just the electronics design process, and PCBs are critical for that, but there's more to product design. There are enclosures, there's supply chain, there's all of these different parts that need to come together, and being able to talk about those different solutions is what is great on the day to day.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. Because when you think about electronic system design, it's more than just one discipline designing. It's a multiple of disciplines. It's a multiple of domains. And how do you integrate? And how do you design from a digital twin and having a digital thread? And how are you doing this? And what ecosystem are you using? Are you using a fully integrated ecosystem, or is it just one domain where you're having to use third-party domains in order to collaborate? It becomes more complex when you're doing that way versus if you have what Siemens offers is a fully complete solution from cradle to grave. And you think about efficiency. I mean, you think about, what companies and how engineering teams function in regards to the overall of bringing a product to market. There's a lot of wasted time, or I wouldn't say wasted, but there's a lot of
Unnecessary time.
that's unnecessary that they could eliminate and become more innovative instead of you think about our evolution with our new UX, and it's kind of going down the rabbit hole. I'll try to keep it simple, but like our new UX, it allows the engineers to utilize the horsepower of the engine that we enable, that allows them to do mundane tasks so they can focus more on the innovation and true engineering side of the when you think about the whole design process. So that's yeah, it really excites me about that. But let me ask you this: electronic industry is experiencing unprecedented complexity and speed. When you think about from the vantage point, what are the most significant challenges PCB designers are grappling with today? Perhaps in terms of like design complexity, time to market pressures, or supply chain volatility. What is your take on that?
It's important to take a holistic view. We have generally kind of been siloed in the way we operate. You focus on one aspect of the design, one domain, one discipline, and if it causes problems for someone else, I didn't even have visibility into that before. Right. I could have potentially picked a component that they don't even make anymore, but like it was in my library. So I placed it. I wasn't going to make a new part, let's say. But now you can connect that digital representation of a component all the way through to a real world manufacturer part number. You can buy it, hold it in your hand, and you can truly connect the digital to the real. With that, I think it's more important than ever to be willing to iterate digitally, to move forward with digital prototypes instead of going out there and getting a paperweight back, right? Like you can take risk digitally, and with that connection of the data, you can, what people say a lot is the shift left strategies, right? Like I can make choices in my component selection during the schematic that are going to affect the ability to purchase the component once we get down to manufacturing. I can maybe make choices of an alternate component that allows me to now order 10,000 resistors from a manufacturer. So I can make business decisions while I'm making design decisions. That's something that we weren't enabled to do before. You had to do your job immediate, right? You didn't have that connection downstream or upstream in any direction. So that's some of the challenges I see. Do any of those challenges resonate with your daily experience?
You're talking about components. You have to understand, when you're designing products, what is the true cost of the decisions you make and how they impact downstream? And just selecting components, you have to understand the process of what it takes to get a component into the library. The time it takes for an engineer to research which component he's going to use if it's not available in the library, to research and say, okay, yeah, this is the best one for me. And then in a medium to enterprise level, you're going to submit a part request to get that part in there. It's got to go through component vetting. And then by the time it actually gets to in the library, it could be a week. You're talking maybe 20, 40, 60 hours by the time it even gets to the library and available for the EE to place in the schematic. So there's a hidden cost that you have to be aware of selecting components and just in general. And I think stuff like that, the things that keep me up at night are like the overall process. When we think about the solutions that Siemens brings to the table and how to be a better version of you to bring the better product to market faster with better quality, we have to embrace the technology that's available today. And I know there's a lot of reluctancy with AI and machine learning and a lot of automation that is available just today, but yet you're still having engineers stick to the same 20 clicks within their mouse and strongly believe and will argue to no end that they're going to manually do things. The difficulty is, how do you argue against success? But the question is
Yeah.
are you leaving money on the table? Yes, you're attaining success, but at what percentage of success are you leaving that you could have been that much more? And I always equate it to, if you're going to get a raise at the end of the year and negotiating, you're with your manager, and he says, hey, you know what? Well, we could have gave you 100%, but we're only going to give you 60% or 70%. Are you okay with that? I wouldn't be, and I know you wouldn't be, and many of us would say, heck no, we want all. Then your design efforts should be the same thing. How can you take advantage and take all the resources, get everything off the table for you? And then, another thing for me, is training the next generation. That really scares me of like, okay, how are we evolving the next generation? And I know Siemens is doing a lot of, effort with academia collaboration between Siemens and the academia and what we're bringing to the table with micro badging and so forth. There's a lot of things that are happening. And it's just, I know that within the solutions that we can control within the Siemens, solutions, is we are evolving the solutions to allow the engineers to be a better version of them so they can perform better and make better choices, better quality product. And ultimately, and I was thinking about this last night, just in general, when I had just finished up lecturing at ASU, Arizona State University. And one of the things that hit me on my drive home was, you think about life. Life is, you're born and then eventually you pass away, however many years in your lifespan. One thing that's constantly there is time. It's going to be constantly flying by. But if you can gain back more time in your day or more time to do a task, wouldn't you take advantage of it? I know if I could have an extra hour or two in my day, I would. And when I think about in the past of how I used to work those crazy 18-hour days for months and months, what if today you have the ability to reduce your amount of working time or your level of effort that you can achieve? You can maximize an 18-hour day within an 8-hour day and still have a good work-life balance.
Yeah, you're not just sitting there waiting for things.
Exactly. And when you think about cloud connectivity and what we're able to do now, oh my God, it's amazing. You don't have to all be in one building or within one section of a building. You can be in multiple states, multiple rooms.
Like right now, we're in different states.
Exactly. You can have the digital twin where all of us are working simultaneously together and we're all engaging and we have a very optimized and very integrated digital thread. It's truly amazing what we can do. But you have to buy into the culture of this is what's best for the team, not what is best for you as an individual. And it's stuff like this that keeps me up at night is how can we share the knowledge to say there's things out there that you have to embrace, that you could be a better version of you. But many people are okay with where they're at. They're okay with, they stay within their comfort zone because they've achieved success within their comfort zone. But as I said, as I preach to the next generation of engineers is step out of your comfort zone and stay out of that comfort zone. So that way it's constantly expanding so that they can be a better version of them, utilizing the solutions that are available today.
Yeah, well, one thing I always like to remind people when they are so against all the AI stuff and all the automation that it's EDA. The A has been there always. It's always been automation. Remember that this used to be done on a big old board?
Yeah, you're talking about cut tape or
Yeah,
taping. Oh
tape
my
and
gosh.
Mylar. Like,
That's before my time. Yeah, luckily, I missed that.
but I have seen people bring those out to show, you know, where we come from. And we have to remember that that's how you used to do it. You used to do everything manually, and now we have these tools.
With PCB West coming up, next week, one of my presentations and my technical sessions, I talk about the complexity in designs. And I have an image, and you talk about cut tape or cutting and taping. I have a picture of Rick Hartley back in the day, like in the 1984, something like that, where he's at an actual light table and he's designing boards, and he's not controlling the mouse. He's got an X-Acto blade in his hand and he's cutting. It's just crazy when you think about an image of that to today's image of a designer with you and I are cockpits, like 3 screens, a monitor, speakers and a microphone and a lot of different things that we have today. It's the times have sure changed, and the tools have definitely come a long way from decades past where we are today. The solutions are wickedly amazing versus back then to now, but the tool is only as good as you're willing to wield it. And that's the thing. I mean, our solutions, we offer a lot of capabilities, a lot of features, but you have to take advantage and use them to your advantage. But the key is to know when to utilize that automation during the process and when you can take advantage of it. You can't do it all the time. And I say this, with RF or digital, or not digital, but high powered boards, there's certain things you can't do. You can't. You can't utilize automation, but there are bits and pieces where you could take advantage of it. So.
Even in those harder things, you always have the ability to add constraints throughout your design to keep you in line. Even when you need that human intelligence, we still have automation in place to help you move forward.
And I always say, just yesterday, like I said, I was lecturing at ASU, and one of the students asked me a question, said, "Hey, I want to ask, what is the best tool package out there? What is the best tool to design a board?" And I didn't even hesitate. I said, "You, the human, the engineer, that's the best tool. When you get hired into a company, you can't choose which tool you're going to use because you get hired in the ecosystem. If you're fortunate and the company you get hired to is using Expedition or using the Seamless Solutions, there's a lot of horsepower there, and it's up to you to embrace it and master it to use it to your advantage. And if you do, you will have a very high potential for success if you embrace it and utilize it." I'm very adamant about mastering your ecosystem and mastering your CAD tool.
Speaking about mastering ecosystems, as an Expedition super user, what excited you the most about the new scalable offerings coming from Expedition Standard all the way up to the full suite of everything?
One of my biggest things when I think about what we're doing now, in our scalability is I love the fact that the tool is now affordable to the way we have it scaled and scalable is that the individual user can now have access to this level of horsepower where it's just, when I first started, it was very expensive. Like many other high-end tools, they were very expensive and it was hard to get access to them. When you think about the simple engineer or even to the small business, their priorities are for the moment, like, making payroll or just getting something to market. And they're not really looking at 5-10 years down the road of their evolution. And what I like is that what we're doing now is it's scalable to adjust to your needs at the moment in time. But at the same time, as you grow, the scalability, it has the potential to grow with you and to grow to meet your needs, or it definitely exceed your needs because of the level at which we can evolve. And you can choose to scale our solutions as you whatever, evolution, your complexity, your company or you as an individual.
It's about the total cost of ownership. We talked earlier about all of that time spent waiting on creating a step rendering to get between your ECAD and your MCAD space. All of these tiny little things that we do to communicate design intent from one realm to the other, one domain to the other. Not only is the base affordable, but it's built in an ecosystem that is working with an integrated data model to keep all of your efforts moving forward as you progress, right? So the technology scales with you and the functionality scales with you.
You're exactly right, because the fact is that technology isn't waiting for anybody. It's moving and it's evolving day by day. Things are getting more complex. Packages are getting more smaller and very dense, and the technology is changing from processing, from fabrication and assembly. There's just a lot of things changing, and the scalability of which solutions that we bring to the table allows you to continue to grow, and the tool grows with you. As you grow, the solutions can scale according to your needs and what you need or what you're up against. So that this is what really, really excites me of what we're doing today. And I use that phrase again, whether it's an engineer or a small business, medium business, even enterprise, it's allowing them the opportunity to be better than what they are today for their constant evolution. Because if they're not constantly evolving, they must be okay with being second or third, because their competitor is going to beat them to market every time. Evolution has to be a constant thing, and growing, and having a solutions that grows with you, that is scalable. That's an amazing thing to have in your hip pocket that grows.
That's like the tokens with Expedition Standard, enabling all of the add-ons.
Yeah, and use it when you need it. I remember back in the day when I worked for a small engineering firm, and we're talking about 2 decades ago, and we were using Expedition, and we'd purchase 6 months. You can buy it, you license it for terms at a time in the business model that they had back then. And it made it affordable for a company, a small company, to be able to do that. And where we are today, to be able to scale it according to your needs, it's awesome. And like I said, as technology grows, your needs grow, your complexities grow, and your internal structure of your company, as you grow, it's scalable. So it really excites me. Design complexity has a lot to do with it.
Design complexity, process complexity, and organizational complexity. Bringing all of those together in a way that makes the total cost of ownership specifically for your organization, without all this downtime, without all of this waiting for things to process. You just get your work done and do what you want to do to innovate.
Exactly. Looking ahead, what excites you most about the future of PCB design, and Siemens' role as it's shaping it? And the second thing, what can designers expect from Siemens EDA in the coming years? Perhaps touching with AI integration, advanced simulation capabilities, or further integration with the broader Siemens Accelerator portfolio. Is being that you're like, I would say you say you've been here a year, so give me your fresh set of eyes perspective.
I think that we will continue to focus on expanding the ecosystem across from that very first paper napkin, right, all the way through production and beyond. Sustainability comes forth in not only how we manufacture things, but in being able to sustain and maintain our designs moving forward. I don't want to just finish my design and then not be able to repair it, not be able to do anything. So connecting to more ecosystems, requirements, being able to audit, it's more about that process, like I said, business process, while we're making good design decisions, right? Smarter design decisions that give business impact. So any key takeaways, Steph, from your side that you're excited about, just in general with PCB design and electronic systems design as well?
There's plenty of them. And the first thing I can think of is today's portfolio that we're bringing to the table, that Siemens is bringing to the table, is having engineering tools that allow me to be better and to do things faster. There's less hurdles in the way, because it's tough enough to design a widget under a certain project schedule and limited budgets. And mitigating risk, I mean, that's engineering. What we do is when we're designing a product, how do we mitigate risk? Well, with the solutions that Siemens bring to the table, it allows the engineers to make intelligent decisions, both technically and financially, when it comes to bringing that product to market. What excites me is the solutions that we're bringing to the table really arms the engineers to really be better and to do things faster and have a tighter collaboration, tighter integration amongst the different domains and the different disciplines and how we function and move forward. And I think that's the biggest thing is the solutions that we offer and, enabling that engineer or engineering team or even that company to be the best they can be to bring their product to market with the highest quality and lowest cost. And it's always a challenge, and every widget's different when you're designing it. And I just know that the solutions that we bring to the table, you have a lot of capability and a lot of horsepower at your fingertips. But if you truly take advantage of it, your likelihood of success, the percentage is really high. But I go back to it's up to the engineers on them to embrace it and utilize it to their advantage. It's there for the taking, so why not take advantage of it? That's the takeaway when you think about connectivity, scalability. I mean, just the evolution that we're going in. I really like what we're doing here at Siemens. And as our activities, you and I, as we do a lot of activities within the industry, and we see how engineering teams are functioning, and we get the voice of the industry of what their wish list is and what they're able to do. And I feel very comfortable and very excited at what we're doing here at Siemens and how we're really tailoring to how can we arm the engineers and in the companies to be better, to do better, and just to be a better version of them. So that way they can ultimately achieve success, because their success is our success. I know that we're running low on time here. So let me ask you this, David. Do you have any final thoughts or anything you'd like to share with our audience about Siemens' commitment to empowering engineers to foster innovation and driving sustainability development in the electronics industry?
I invite everyone to come check out the Expedition standard product overview I'll be doing towards the end of the month, October, maybe start of November. Just keep an eye out. We'll see.
I'm really excited about that. It's going to be definitely a must attend.
Yeah, and we'll be discussing a little bit of some of the new stuff that's coming out with 2510 and just overall the design flow for the tool sets, right? For the whole Expedition ecosystem. So
awesome. I'll be looking forward to it, as collaborating with you on that as well. Again, that's a must attend event, and you'll be on the lookout for that notice and jump on it. And if you can, chances are I'm sure it'll be recorded so you can catch it if you happen to miss it. But it will definitely be some great knowledge sharing that David will be presenting. So, with that said, I want to thank everyone for tuning in today. I hope you're excited to hear more about the two of us talking about trends, challenges, and opportunities across the printed circuit engineering industry. Again, David, thanks for joining. And I look forward to co-hosting with you going forward.